Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, say hello, join us. Today is our take 2 of day 2 of our Threaded Trends workshop. My name is Genevieve, and this is a series of virtual workshops that I have decided to start doing this year, where we either are going to sew something or I'm going to teach something. And Threaded Trends Workshop is me sharing with you all the things I've learned over the years as someone who's worked in the fashion industry as well as sales and marketing, and particularly for all of my fellow sewists who also are handmade makers running their own businesses, trying to sell the items that they make. So I'm very excited to share day 2 with you all. I hope if you didn't catch yesterday that you'll go and catch the day 1 replay. Yesterday was short because we decided to flip-flop the days, the times. Last month I had done the workshop in reverse. I had done Saturday at 10:30 Eastern time and Sunday at 3:30 Eastern time. And I decided this time around that I would flip-flop the times. And I think mainly, Saturday afternoons usually don't have a whole lot of people, but I wanted to do it for people who that was the only time that they would have access to the live. So please go over, but if you have any questions when you're watching the replays, pop them in the comments. I do check my comments on my YouTube channel, and I am always happy to answer questions in my DMs over on Instagram. You can see I have my handle, which is for here on YouTube, but also everywhere else you can find me under that handle as well. So today we are going to talk a little bit about building out your strategy for a release and how to set some goals around that, because I think that also is a really important part of being a handmade entrepreneur, a creative entrepreneur, is how do you also keep your creative brain from scattering all over the place. So we're going to dive into that. But first, I want you guys to say good morning, say hello, tell me where you're coming in from. I do have over on my iPad, I do have the screen up so I can see your comments there. I can see your comments here. Today, for some reason yesterday, there was a banner in front of it that I couldn't see your comments. So who knows? I need to upgrade my StreamYard. I'm fairly new to using that other than during our Bobbin Buddies with Katie and Jade. And I probably should just upgrade it and bite the bullet. But I'm one of those people who I'm like, oh, another subscription. So with that being said, we'll kind of get to it. And I'll share a little bit of a recap of yesterday. How about that? As everybody comes in, share with me where you're coming from, where you're watching from. And also, if you do have a handmade business, if you are making items to sell, I'd love to know your primary way of how you go about selling them, whether it's markets, consignment, a website, a little bit of all three. I would love to know that because as I build this out, this probably will be the last time this year that I teach this class, just because summers are crazy for me with work and with life. And then the holiday season that usually doesn't seem like the best time to do this sort of thing for everyone else because everyone is pretty busy. But we'll see. Maybe we'll do it one more round in the fall when I'm not dyeing fabric every day. But let's talk about yesterday. So yesterday we talked a little bit about like kind of my background, where I come from as far as I worked in the ethical fashion industry for close to 10 years. And then prior to that, I was primarily in sales and marketing nationwide. I worked on a lot of national accounts. I worked with coaching a lot of people on how to go about doing marketing and sales, both from the traditional aspect. I'm an elder millennial, so from print and so forth, then learning my way through social media and that as well. When I worked in ethical fashion, I was lucky enough to take a course with the CFO, the creative director of Pinterest, and learn some techniques on what Pinterest looks for. And so I did share yesterday how important it is, if you are a handmade maker, to use Pinterest. And not just to build collections, but also to market yourself there. We talked a little bit about our color wheel, how to use color theory when you're doing your makes. I do have these color wheels over on my website. If you go to the workshops area of my website, I believe I am cheaper than Amazon when it comes to these. So if you do not have a color wheel, these are really great to use with your stash that you already have before you go and purchase any fabrics. As you're looking to decide what your collection is going to look like, and you want to create a cohesive look, having a physical color wheel is very nice to have, because you can lay it right on your fabric. You can say, okay, this is the color, the main color I'm focusing on. What are the other colors that are complementary or would be, you know, the colors that would work well with what I'm going for. So I highly recommend having a physical color wheel. But we also shared the Canva color wheel, which is the digital color wheel that you can go to. And then we talked a little bit about, you know, how to use magazines, because again, I really feel like having print magazines for this process can be super helpful. Many of the things that are going to print right now will not make it into the mainstream of what we see in fabrics and fibers and home decor and fashion. They will not show up until a year from now. So if you're wondering how fashion designers know what's going to be on trend, it's because they're already creating it. They know what, by the time it comes down the pike to the average user, that it was already in magazines the year prior. So this is a really great process to just go grab some print magazines to do that. And then I also shared some Pinterest tools, how to use Pinterest to discover trends, how to build a trend board. And we also used a little bit of AI because we didn't do that the last time around. And I wanted to make sure I showed you how you can use ChatGPT and AI in a way that isn't stealing from other people, other artists, but kind of helping you build that. And we're going to dive a little bit more into AI today as well, as we build out the marketing for your release. Because if there is one thing that I feel having AI and the internet in general has done since I got into marketing and sales, it's truly allowed that part, the copy part of building out your social media, of creating a blog, of all the things that you have to spend so much time on, that I feel I used to have to spend so much time on. Some of those things have gotten way easier with the development of AI and understanding what prompts and things to put in to help build your own voice. Even like today, having an outline for a presentation or a talk, it's really helped in that regard. So I believe in using technology for good. So definitely, I highly recommend, you know, kind of implementing some of those processes. So when you're here, say hello, and we will get to it. The other thing to make sure of, if you haven't already, if you signed up for this workshop from my website, you want to make sure that you go check your email, because you did receive a free coupon code to download the free workbook that we go through in the Threaded Trends workshop. These videos will be up for 30 days, so that gives you a chance to be able to watch them on a replay multiple times, build things out, ask questions, and so forth. So definitely take advantage of that. And so I will put here in the chat the link for the workshop. Next month, we will be doing a workshop for my release of my muumuu pattern. So I will be releasing a summer muumuu dress pattern. And so we already did have a pre-order for kits for those, but we will have opportunities to get kits again in the future. But the pattern will be available on May 1st. So if you would like to join us for the muumuu workshop, you will be able to go. I will have in the pattern, you know, the different types of fabrics you can purchase elsewhere if you did not get one of our muumuu kits. But we will offer muumuu kits as the summer goes on, in case people want to purchase one of ours. Okay. All right. So let's get to it. Let's start off where we left off. And we left off, the homework for yesterday kind of was to build out your release, to think about what you want to focus on, how you're going to build out your next release. And when I say release, this could be a collection of bags that you're going to do for your consignment shop. It could be a month's worth of releases that you're going to kind of focus on a theme within your shop. It could be, I'll share some examples from my shop at the end, but it could be a variety of ways that you are going to focus on. I feel like I have a sneeze. Focus on the same genre or aesthetic for a period of time. Okay. And I hope everybody is hearing me. I hope that my mic is working. I was having some issues this morning with StreamYard on my computer. So hopefully my mic is working. If you are listening and my mic is working, please just let me know that it is working in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. So color theory was the first place that we went to. And what I shared yesterday was when you're using, I personally love home decor magazines. I highly recommend out of the magazines that you purchase, you at least purchase one home decor magazine. And I pulled out home decor magazines are great for color because they're always talking about paints and things like that. And home decor, you'll see it transcend into fabrics, into fashion, into different areas of accessories. You'll see different elements of home decor transfer into fashion as well. And so one of the things I really loved when I opened this magazine was this violet color of the year, almost like a wisteria color. They're calling it African violet. But I really loved kind of the boho patchworkness of this this look. So that was one of the things that I built mine off of. And so I focused really on that wisteria color. As I built out with my color wheel, what colors were coordinating, complementary, what was the monochromatic look, did I want to add grays or do any type of shading or tones. Then I come over here to the color story. And this is really the very basics of building or reminding yourself of your brand. I think this is super important when you have a business to do things that remind you of your own brand. Imposter syndrome is real. And many times we can think when we see someone else doing well, or we think they're doing well, we can kind of think, oh, I should do that. I shouldn't do my thing. I should do that because that's what's working for them. And here's what I'll tell you about how to know something is working. You have to consistently do it for at least 3 months. And only then will you see a little bit of the return. It's usually about 6 months before you see the true return of something, of doing something consistently. So this is kind of your reminder of what is your brand. And I always tell everyone to think of 3 descriptive words that represent their brand. To think of 3 products and only 3 products that are the main 3 products they want to sell. And then I also go into looking at who are your top fashion brands that you personally like, or just brands in general that you personally like, the ones you continually go back to, the ones you shop at, and write those down there. So this top part is really about reminding yourself. Does anybody else have issues with that, about remembering that, wait, this is the lane I decided to be in? I'll tell you, I definitely struggle with this at times. I've gotten better over the years, but there's still moments where I'm like, maybe I should do that. That would be the thing that would make my business do better. So I really want to encourage you all, like, this is always a great little, even just this little top part. If you're feeling like you're kind of squirrely and you're not sure which direction you need to go, it's always good to come back and review this. And then we talked about using Pinterest, Etsy, your magazines, social media, wherever it might be, to kind of search the trend you're thinking about focusing on. And how we discovered the trends was using kind of key words that we're writing down from when we're going through through our magazines. So something that was coming up for me a lot throughout this magazine was checked and patchworks and stripes, geometric designs. So I kind of put some of those words into Pinterest and into other search engines to like pull up, what do I think that aesthetic is going to be? And what I came up with is what we're going to work on today. I do have a quadrant here where you can kind of visually see all the things we did on those first 2 pages over here to write your mood, the textures you've seen, the color palettes, sketch out the designs you are interested in doing. That's all things that I went through my magazines and put Post-its on of things that I was seeing so that I could go back then and be like, okay, this is the vibe I want to focus on. All right. So now we're going to get into the production part. Everybody ready for that? Ready for the production part? I'm hoping that people are hearing me because I see people are on, but nobody's commenting. So that makes me nervous that you're not hearing me. So I'm going to wait and hopefully someone will comment and tell me they can hear me. Because I think that's really, before I get to this part, because yesterday we just did the recap, I want to make sure that someone out there is hearing me. So if you are hearing this, please comment and let me know that my mic is good. Yay, Hazel. Thank you. Thank you for commenting. I hope you're doing well this morning. Okay, so we're going to get into how to take our color theory, kind of the design elements that we wrote down in the last couple ones, and how to pull it into the production of the release that you want to do. And Hazel, I don't know, I know that you said that you're doing, I think you said you're doing a website with your handmade products. And I think that can be one, you've already taken on something that is, it's actually really good for you to kind of own all of that. But that's also a lot of work because you're thinking about your overall brand a lot when you're building a website. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hone in on one specific area or focus within the next couple of months. And so sometimes when we're thinking about our overall brand all the time, it can be very difficult then to narrow it down for a release. So I just want everyone to know like that this is something that many entrepreneurs and creatives struggle with. And so if you're feeling like you're getting too overwhelmed with it as you sit with it, I want you to like get up, do something with your hands is always helpful for someone who's creative. Like something that isn't your creative process. Like, I know I'm going to say it, wash your dishes, fold your laundry, clean up your sewing room, that sort of thing. Many times clearing clutter from your brain as a creative can actually help you do these sorts of things. So I want to really encourage that. It's great for your mindset. I am there as well many times. So now that we have all of that, we're going to build out the production of whatever it is, the release, and plan for scheduling that production of those items. When I used to do collections of bags, this was the process that I would use. Excuse me. And now that I mostly am doing fabrics, this is my process of thinking about the textures and the colors and the things that are going to be a part of each of my collections of different fabric design. So if you go to our website and you click on all of our collections, our fabric collections, you'll see there's various different collections there. I kind of go through this process to build those fabric collections because I know that not everyone is going to necessarily be a character person. Some people are going to be more looking for those neutrals or florals. And so this is the way I build out those collections and think about how am I promoting them for, say, our pre-orders or for when I might be doing like a specific event on a specific collection or marketing on a specific collection. So the first thing I do is I name the release. And so this could be you're naming the release of your bags that you're going to be releasing, or maybe you're opening for commissions if you're an apparel sewist or a bag sewist. It's always nice to add a little creative flair and name it within the aesthetic of what you feel that release is going to be. So my release name is Quilted Boho. I do have another one here, which is the one I did last summer, which was Summer Foodie. So if you've been here for a while and remember my Summer Foodie collection from last July, you can see that this was the exact process that I used for that collection to release last July. Now I'm doing one that I would hopefully be able to prepare for next January. Because as I was going through these, like I said, a lot of your magazines right now, we might see elements of this type of trend in our fashion or you know, out in the marketplace, but it really isn't going to capture a lot of people until the following year. So trends kind of take, you know, they have a trajectory in the process of how long they are out. And so Quilted Boho is the release name. And then I put down my color palette. So I went with that violet color, but I renamed it Wisteria. And so I really felt like African Violet is more of, not saying that it isn't a color, but it actually, an African violet is more of a plant. And so when you're thinking, if you are definitely selling these things online, not that wisteria isn't a plant, but I can play with that name as far as a color. I think more than African violet, because when I was typing in African violet in Pinterest or in Etsy, it was bringing African print fabric versus the color of fabric I wanted. And so remembering that SEO, search engine optimization, is super important when you are selling or promoting online. Using words that are going to pull more of what you want it to pull is really important. So I'm starting with the color Wisteria, and I really loved in this photo here the kind of very bright, bold, boho chic look, and actually very India inspired or quilted. And so I kind of wrote down some of those bold, bright colors that I saw there. So bold pinks, oranges, teals, those were kind of the other colorways that I wanted to look for. When I go down here to types of patterns, maybe names of products, textures, trends, I wrote down half moons. I saw a lot of half moons as I was going through for all different things, from bags to home decor things, in a lot of the different elements that I was seeing. I saw a lot of half moons. Checks were still pretty big, and geometrical shapes. So a lot of diamonds, a lot of triangles, those types of things. So I put those there just to remind me as I'm looking for, this is primarily for me for fabric designs. As I'm looking for fabric designs, artists who are drawing fabric designs, I'm going to look for those types of shapes. Also for here on the YouTube channel, for me to think about what patterns am I doing that time of year. If these are the different types of silhouettes that I'm looking for bag patterns that are half moons, ones that will look good with checked type of prints, and also more geometrical shaped bags than what you know, we might be used to. I have down here in marketing copy, what type of words am I going to look for? How am I going to promote it? So that is another way that I've used ChatGPT. And I'm going to just let you guys look at this here and what I put in ChatGPT. I'm going to learn how to share my screen, you guys, I promise you, for the next time around. So up here, I wrote in ChatGPT, I wrote, write SEO phrases to aid in the search of a fabric release called Quilted Boho that combines the colors of wisteria, bold pink, oranges, teals with geometrical and celestial shapes. Okay. And so what it helps you do then is, like, now it has SEO phrases for product titles or headers. So it gives me some ideas there. I might not use exactly how they have it laid out here, but at least is fueling me to think through it. Then secondary SEO phrases for tags or descriptions, Pinterest friendly hashtags. So that also is really great because there is an area on the next page for me to list hashtags. So again, I believe AI can be used for good. It can be used for bad. I do feel like when you are using it to aid you in your business in this manner and copy, it is super beneficial. So definitely there is where I kind of put in words that I was seeing constantly in my magazines: patchwork, modern boho, celestial motifs. All right. Then we're going to list our release time frame. This is going to be for next January. And then why is this release important to you? This is so important. I had taken a training a while back and got certified in, I don't know if you're familiar with Simon Sinek's Start With Why. I think it's so important as a business owner to understand what your why is and to have that kind of fueling motivation about pursuing your business and knowing why you're doing it. And so I put down here, why is it important to me? I really am focused on finding more and more people who are a variety of different types of sewists. And one of those areas is in quilting because I primarily sell cotton woven fabrics. I don't have any type of vinyls or anything like that. And even though I primarily begun in the bag maker realm, I do know that my fabrics are just as good for those of us who quilt. So that was one of the reasons I have here. And what do I love about it? It's basically part of my own vibe. I love boho chic. I love boho style. So I have down here because it speaks to my own personality and trend. And so I put that there. On the back here, this is different notes for your release. So I'll go down through this and kind of share. So hashtags, we already talked about that, how you can use ChatGPT for that. In the past, I would have gone to Instagram and kind of put in some of the things that those words, those keywords, I would have gone to Instagram and looked at that and then looked to see like what were people using in their own content. Took a little bit longer of a process, but that's always good to do. Who are the customers? That would be the main people you're talking to when you do this release. I think that's really important too, because you do have this overall brand, you have this overall key customer, but when it comes to some specific releases, are you really speaking to that overall customer base, or is there one in particular type of customer that you have that would be more likely to pursue this item or these products? And for this one I have, this is primarily a spring sewist, I would think, because it definitely shows some spring vibes. It's also quilters that are aspiring quilters. Many times I find as an aspiring quilter, I gravitate toward the quilted look, but maybe not with all the quilting requirements. Also, anyone who has really enjoyed my softcore girl collection from this year will also enjoy that collection next year. Patterns that I could maybe do on the YouTube channel. So I kind of thought about puff pillows would be a good one to do. Quilted jeans, so the quilted jean look. Maybe do a, what do I have here? I can't even read my handwriting. I have no idea. Quilt blocks. I could do a quilt block. And then potentially I could share just like a bunch of my own personal fat quarters, or if we do any fat quarter kits, I could kind of share something from a fat quarter kit. And then collaborations. I can't stress enough how important it is to do collaborations as a small business. Find people who will work with you. So I listed out 3 different people that I know are already quilters or who are also aspiring quilters that I could potentially do a collaboration with. So really fill out this. Like I said, this is a really important part of the process to help you to break down the plan for yourself. I think that is also something as a business owner that can get away from me is I get an idea. I start pulling together all the things for the idea. And then I forget to kind of break down that idea into bite-sized chunks to meet a goal. Anyone else? Anyone else struggle with that? And I would say some of that is just being a creative person and being really busy within your businesses. But I do think it's really important to do this step so that you can have everything in front of you that says, oh, by this day, I need to think about reaching out to Bethany because I want to see if she'd like to do a collaboration for January. If I don't do that by like November, potentially she's not going to have enough of time to do that collaboration with me. So making sure that you're writing things down so that you can really sit with your calendar and think out how are you breaking this out can really help with your own stress, but it also helps with the implementation and with seeing results from it. So I highly recommend writing things down and really looking at it for yourself so that you can be realistic about the goals that you're setting. So let's see. I do think now that we're at the goals piece of the puzzle, has anyone done this already? I know that I already had done, I had taught this class in Vegas. I had also done this workshop about a month ago. So is there anyone here live that has already worked through this process and potentially, gone ahead and created a release using this process? I would love to hear from you on, maybe where you might need help or how you feel it went for yourself, because I do think like that's a really important thing to share with other people is if you have done this process and how it's gone, maybe where you want to tweak it, those sorts of things. So please feel free to share that in the comments below. All right. So now we're going to talk about goals. And I know goal setting can be a little scary for people because sometimes we feel like we set our goals too high. But I do feel like this process can really help you look at what are those small bite-sized goals within a small portion of your business. So one release that you can really set attainable goals to feel good about where you are in your business. You can actually see the small successes versus the big overall picture. And I think that's really important. It took me a lot of time in my business to get to that place. I feel like working in the fashion industry also helped me with that because we had these far-arching months in advance things that we were working on, but we still had to be able to focus on the right now. And so I definitely encourage you to sit down and think. I'm sure some people have heard of SMART goals, but I have that in the back to be able to use that for each one of your releases. And so if I'm going to create this boho, what did I call it? Quilted boho release, then I want to set a specific goal of what I want to accomplish. And so here I put to do at least 4 quilting YouTube videos in January of some sort. So I've made it very specific to not necessarily the collection, but in like, how am I promoting this? How am I releasing it? So to make sure that I pull quilting into my month that I plan to release this. And now make it measurable. So I already kind of have a specific measure of 4 here, but then I also want to think about, well, how am I making sure that this release is going to get to the majority of the people who want it? And so when you have your own website, sometimes I think more about like, I want people to sign up for my website to get our emails, to get our fabric sample pack. So one of the things I could build out within my email is, how do I quantify that they're a quilter? How do I know that when they purchase from us or they sign up for our website for something, how do I know that they're a quilter? So I want to build some type of opt-in, some type of freebie maybe, to make sure that I'm getting quilters to sign up for my emails. So I have 50 quilter signups by the end of the month. So now it's definitely measurable that by the time I release this collection, I will definitely have quilters to share it with. Okay. Achievable. So how can the goal be accomplished? So where this comes in is promoting spring pre-order, because this would be when we're releasing the new design. So making sure that I'm on top of the promotion of that, maybe adding some new things, and just really being engaged with it. And then the YouTube, making sure that I follow through on those. And then maybe doing a quilt giveaway of some sort, maybe doing a giveaway of some sort. So this is your way of saying to yourself, how do I know if I put in the effort that most likely if I do all these things, I can get to my goal? Relevant. So why is it relevant? And I feel like the beginning of quilt season is kind of the beginning of the year. It's when all the new fresh things come out, when quilt shows are starting to happen. So I kind of have, well, it's relevant because it's the beginning of the quilt show season. And then time bound, I have to do all of it, and reach my goal by January 30th. So this is just a good way to go back and remind yourself to set some real quantifying goals that I'm going to get at least 4 videos done. I'm going to have at least 50 people sign up. And they are ways for me to track, am I on top of what I said I was going to do? I know that this can feel really overwhelming for people. There was a time where it felt very overwhelming to me. But the only thing I can tell you about not feeling overwhelmed with this is to do it, and to make that a goal for yourself. Is like, for at least 3 months, I am going to set a SMART goal for myself and follow through with each of those things. And it could be very small, but it does help in all facets of running a handmade business, is setting SMART goals. And I always use the words "at least" in front of whatever my goal is, because I found for myself, like if in the middle of the month I was nowhere close, I would reminding myself of at least means that I don't have to exceed. I just need to attain. So that's that part. And then in the back of the notebook, we have some of the workbook. I do have areas for you to do more sketches and things like that. But that is basically the Threaded Trends workshop, part 1 and part 2. And I forgot again to put myself on do not disturb. So we're going to do that real quick. Goodness. Okay, we're on do not disturb. And I feel like at this point, I'd like to just chat with you guys and see, what are you working on? Is there something that, like, now that you've gone through this process, has it changed your mindset on how to do something? Are you working on a bag collection? Has it helped you with thinking about narrowing down maybe the number of different types of patterns you're doing for a market? I love to hear kind of some feedback and even questions from all of you. If you have questions about this process, pop them in the comments. This is your time to ask me some questions, because like I said, I am not probably doing this workshop again for this year. So if you have any questions about any of the process, please pop them in the comments so that I can help you with them. And I'm going to get ready. As you do that, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to pull, I think, 2 things to show you how I've used this process in my own business, so that you can kind of see it in a physical, tangible form. So feel free to pop in your comments or questions about the process. If you have something very specific to your own business that you like, marketing wise, using Pinterest, any of those things, feel free to put those in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer them as best I can. Okay, well, I guess we don't have any questions. Like I said, if you have questions after this, feel free to pop them in the comments. I will look at this afterwards and answer anybody's questions that you might have. But if you do have questions and you're typing them in, keep going. I'll answer them when we're all done here. Okay. So first of all, when I transitioned my business primarily from doing collections of handmade bags, is, how do I use this process for my fabrics? So I'm going to share that in a little bit. Hazel, what social media should you do? Instagram and YouTube? Okay. I laugh because that's such a hard question. All right. But what I will say, for handmade businesses, and Hazel, let me just clarify a little bit. So you're planning to sell your bags, or I know you also sew apparel. So what if you could share with me, at least one of the products you plan to resell? Like, what are you making and then selling? Because I think that's a key thing to know when you're deciding social media. I do feel like any type of search engine, so you have YouTube there as a search engine. Pinterest is also a search engine. So those two, choosing one of those or both is really beneficial to the handmade maker, because more people are consuming that type of search engine content for handmade items. Okay. So totes. So you're primarily making totes. All right. So this is where I would say for you, I would definitely think about who your key customer base is. Are you selling totes? So for the young mother who's carrying everything? Are you selling totes for people to use reusable grocery bags? Like, what is your key market there? And then when it comes to promoting them, the social media that you choose really doesn't matter. What matters is, are you consistent there? And two, are they able to find you? So are those people, is that key customer of who you're selling totes to, are they able to find you? And so that, I would say, that's where the search engine comes in. So I would highly recommend you choose one social media. So that's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Let me think of any others. Threads, any of those. And then think about doing one search engine. So Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn, another place that people could search to find grocery totes, reusable grocery totes. I'm just going to say that for example, because having a presence where you're getting people to know, like, and trust you is more the social media area. So a Facebook group, an Instagram where you do lives or stories where people can see, like, oh, I really believe in the same things Hazel believes, right? And I really love what she's doing. And I use reusable grocery totes all the time. And the ones that I buy at the grocery store are always falling apart. So I'd rather support Hazel and buy those. And then another place where you can create content. I'm just going to use Pinterest as an example, where you could take pictures of your totes filled with groceries, maybe your tote next to a computer open to a grocery store pickup order, to really gravitate those people when they see an image to click on it to go to your website to shop. And so I feel like you get two different types of clients from those two different types of places. On Instagram and Facebook, a lot of my customers who find me there don't only purchase the things that I sell, but they also connect with me personally and on a level of having similar life or those types of things. When someone finds you on like a Pinterest or YouTube, not necessarily that they don't kind of get to know you a little bit, but it's more based off of the product. Okay, so you really want those two. You can have as many social media channels as you want, but I would definitely make sure you're consistent on what social media you use. And then the same thing on a Pinterest or a YouTube. Be consistent about when you post, how you post, what you're posting, that sort of thing. What you're sharing, I should say more what you're sharing for a search engine. Okay. I hope that helps. If anybody else has any other questions about social media, about marketing on social media, about what might be the best thing for them in their handmade business for social media, feel free to pop those comments here. I will not say that I'm an expert on those sorts of things, but I've had to evolve from, like I said, the very print sales is sales. No matter, sales and marketing are the same no matter where you do it. It's just learning how do you convert those core practices into those other areas. So I'm happy to share those things. And I also have a bunch of books and resources. If that's really something that you want to dive into, send me a DM over on Instagram, and I'd be happy to send you some resources of things that trainings I've done and things I've learned. All right. So here's one of the ways that I use this process in my fabric business. So every month I release a dynamic fabric kit. This started, I want to say probably about 2 months after I decided I was going to sell my hand-dyed fabric. I decided every month I would do a kit. I couldn't think of another name for it other than a kit, even though it doesn't come with a pattern. It doesn't provide you those things like a normal kit would. It really was a kit in helping you use color theory to coordinate along with my hand-dyed fabric. Because I find, and I know you're out there, I find that there are people who hoard my hand-dyed fabric because they're not quite sure what to use it with, and it becomes like the uncuttable. And so I really wanted to provide a way that if you really love the hand-dyed fabric, that you could receive a kit that had a theme that would help you in designing something with the hand-dyed fabric. But the reason I didn't have a subscription for it is because all the dyed fabric is made with these two hands, and I only have the capacity to do 20 of them a month. So it's like a limited kit every month where you can get everything that coordinates. So every month, and this is a way I use this entire system that I just taught, I'll go through and think about, okay, these are trends I saw, the different things that were coming up for me through my magazines, through doing research online, and I'll build out my entire year for the release of my kits. Okay. And so my kit comes with 2 color theory cards. So I'm just going to show you real quickly how the color theory cards look. Okay, so it shows you, I'm covering up because there's coupon codes here. It shows you the 2 colors that come with the kit. Okay, so those are the colors that I pulled for the hand-dyed fabric. So this is this month's, and it's called Barista's Blend, because one of the things I was seeing a lot last year was I was seeing a lot of coffee colors, mocha colors, a lot of like dark cherries and things like that combined together. And it kept making me think about coffee and the the raisins. If anybody remembers the raisins that used to sing like is one in like the 80s. I can't think of what their actual name was, but it made me think about the raisins all the time. And so I was like, how cool, those colors both go really well together, but it also is making me think about coffee. So this was one of the dyed fabrics that I did. So this is the Cafe Velvet. And unfortunately, iPhones do not transfer colors super well, but it is a very mocha brown with splits of coral, pinks. There's some blues in here and violets. So this was one of the fabrics that I did for the kit. So it helped me to pull colors that I was going to dye. Then the other one I did, like I said, because I kept thinking about the raisins, was more of a like dark burgundies. So this is our plum espresso. So this was the other colorway that I chose to do. So 2 hand-dyed fabrics. So that's how I usually start, is I'll pick my colors because it is focused around my dyed fabric. And then from there, I'll go and look for print designs that I want to use with these that pull those colors that I'm thinking about, but also pull a theme together and a theme that I potentially have seen elsewhere in my research. And so that's why I chose to do the coffee. So you get 2 cone of fat quarters in the kit. And then I work with the Hartman Hide, again, collaboration, that we did 2 cork tags that have the coffee theme, but one is in like an eggplant burgundy background and one is in the cocoa background. So that is how I kind of pull together each month's kit using this process. So we still do have, I think I might have 9 of these. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm bumping my thing. We have 9 of these kits left over on our website for April. But every month I come out with a new dynamic fabric kit, and I'm pretty much planning the process for January, like the start of next year. I'm planning these right now using a lot of these different tools that I've just shown you over the past 2 days. So that's the first thing, is I create my dynamic fabric kit using this. And then I also think about another way that I've used this process is thinking about your key customer. All right, so for many of you, I think you've seen that, and this comes down to my overall brand words. One of my brand words to remind me what my brand is nostalgia. I feel like it's one of the core things that pull us together. Good morning, Jason. And so nostalgia is one of the things I think about when I'm looking at working with artists to design fabric. And also when I'm looking to think about what are new products that I'm going to bring out. Nostalgia also for me leads into different areas that can pull nostalgia. One of those areas is books, movies, different situations throughout life. And so you will see that we have a book lovers collection right now, right, of different fabrics. And so one of the things I wanted to do, and I'm also not a super big fan of projects that take me forever to do sewing wise. I don't have the time to do it. So I'm thinking about that with my customers. Like I want to create things like the kit that are taking the time that it takes to decide what you're going to use. I also want to create things that are going to allow you to implement your dyed fabric if you want to, right? And so one of the things we decided to do using this process, and also because books are everywhere right now, there's a reinsurgent of reading, which is wonderful. And I'm an avid reader, both using my e-reader as well as print book. And so we came up with our book lovers panels and decided to do them, that it wasn't just for you to do book sleeves, but a panel that would allow you to also be using these book lovers panels for small projects, to pull together different things and using them, printing them on a fabric that would be good for an interior, an exterior, or quilting. And so we created our book lovers panels, which are on our sailcloth canvas. And these are 58 inches. All right, so that's our sailcloth canvas is 58 inches wide. You get 40 inches of the coordinate design, and then you get 2 panels that are the perfect size for, in our community, we have, in the bag making community, we have two patterns that seem everybody in the bookish community does, which is the Sewn Ideas book sleeve and the Book Bestie from Carolina's Little Stitches. So you will be able to make these. I also think about those of you who are doing markets and those types of things. And so that's why we decided to release these. We also find that people really love the half yard cuts of our fabric, but I wanted a way that we could do a under $20 half yard fabric that gave you more options. So our book lovers panels will release on April 23rd, but I use this entire process that I've just shared with you to come up with this idea that would really speak to a genre of my sewists, but also for all of my other sewists. All right. So I know my book people are going to be all about this, but then I wanted something that we could also say, well, what about bag people? I know that there are panels out there for totes. I highly recommend if you are a tote person, you go and follow My Little Shindig. She has a great tote panel subscription where you can make it, they're a bigger image for you to do totes. But I'm a crossbody girl, and so these will work. This is the Diane crossbody. These will work on smaller bags. And so if you're more of a crossbody person, these are also great for that. And for the release, what we're going to do is I did collaborate with Jade and Chris from the Heartwood and Hide. If anybody remembers, for January, we had in the January Dynamic Fabric Kit, we had these pop sockets that were in there, these larger pop sockets that are great for your e-readers. So if you buy 5 Book Lovers panels during the release, I think we're going to do it for the first week. You get to choose. I have a few of these left. So I have a few of these that say ghosting you for my TBR. I have a few of those left, but Jade and Chris worked with us to do one that says so little shelf space. And then we also have one that is, let me just pull it out here so I can hold it properly. Escaping reality, one chapter at a time with dragons, and it's on like a glitter acrylic. So if you order 5 Book Lovers panels, you'll get to choose one of these for free for the first week that we release them. So trying to build collections or products that are speaking very specifically to your key customer, but then thinking about how are you promoting it to the rest of your customer base. All right. So that's another way that I have used this process that I've just shared the past 2 days personally. Do you guys want to see some more of the Book Lovers panels? I have a few of them up here. So this one was the Dark Fantasy, which I think most people, this is a pretty popular print of ours. So I think most people have seen this one. So there's that one. And I do think this summer we'll be doing a workshop with the Diane crossbody, Evergreen Threads. This is a pattern by Evergreen Threads. So I think we're going to do, I'm not sure if it'll be July or August that we'll do a Diane crossbody workshop live. And it'll be a special kit with Book Lovers. Okay. So if you didn't know, I do have licensing for the book When the Moon Hatched, and I worked with a designer specifically to create the different fabric designs and so forth. So this is the When the Moon Hatched parchment mark book lover panel. We do have panels that are not book specific as well. We have some with florals because I understand not everyone is a book person. And so I didn't want people to feel like they had to do specifically, like they were all books. So we do have some that are with florals, some with cottage core, that type of thing that are from our other collections that you're going to find on our website. So again, I think there's over 60 some designs now for this first release. We also have our How to Train Your Dragon. We did the Isle of Berk and then the Little Dragon Island, and then our exclusive design of the dragon, the Viking School sketch that we have on one. So you can, and what's nice about the sailcloth, I was originally thinking about doing it in our Luxe Sateen, but we don't offer sailcloth usually printed. Sailcloth is usually what I primarily only offer it dyed. And I thought the sailcloth, again, it's thick enough to be an exterior. It can also be an interior really easily. It's thin enough that if you wanted to use it for a quilting project, you could. So I really felt like, and also if you want to purchase other coordinating designs that go with the Book Lovers panels in one of our other bases, that you would be able to do so. So there's that one. Then everybody really wanted these designs to come back from January. So we did, this is our bookish tarot. And so here's one with that. I think I only have book ones up here. Right now I don't have any of the other themes. But they will be $18.75, so they are under that $20 mark. I am shedding so bad. You always, you immolate your dog. This one is our Sips and Bookstore Trips. So florally bookish. And we're going to, I know that Carolina's Little Stitches and Sewn Ideas, they are going to be offering a discount code the week of release for their 2 patterns. But my Stripe team and I, we are working on a list of the different patterns they have done using their book lovers patterns. So that way you can kind of get ideas of what else you can use. This one has our So Little Shelf Space logo that's exclusive to us, with one of our retired, pretty popular bookshelf designs. So there's that one. But like I said, when you buy 5 during the release, you'll be able, while supplies last, you'll be able to choose one of the pop sockets that we've worked with Jade and Chris on. I don't know, do I have any other ones up here to show? I mean, this one is one. So this is our, it's pearls. So it's more like an ocean design. Pearls with the whale. And I think the other design is books on this one. But you can see I used my dyed fabric with it. This is vinyl from My Little Shindig. So you can really create a lot of different looks with them. And like I said, they're primarily for smaller projects, but it doesn't mean that you can't use it for a bigger project. You just have to make sure that your panel design works for whatever you're doing. And there are a fair amount of different projects you can use for them. So that's really what I have to share with you today. Like I said, as you watch the replays of these 2 workshops, feel free to post questions in the comments. If I can answer them, I will. I'll answer all of them, but as long as it's topic that I can answer, that I have knowledge around, I will gladly answer it for you. I'm a firm believer that business in secret doesn't work. And so I think a lot of times people who have businesses, and I saw this a lot in the fashion industry, and not saying that there aren't people who are ill-willed that will take your ideas. There is plenty of that. I do think that it's so important we share as business owners experience and skills and things we've learned throughout the years, because the more you can work with others, the better off your business is. I've always believed that. And so that's why I'm sharing some of these things, because it really isn't secrets. It's just stuff that you learn doing it over time. And so that's why I wanted to share this all with you. So I hope you have a great Sunday. The rest of the day I am spending with my college students, helping one look for jobs and the other one apply for scholarships. But I'm so glad that this was helpful. And I will see you next weekend. What are we working on here? So we are preparing for the pre-order. So April 23rd, make sure you set your calendars. Make sure you get that fabric sample pack for the pre-order. I know a lot of people have been asking questions about the tariffs and things like that. All of our fabric, except for our linens, are US milled and also US printed. So at this point, we aren't being affected by the tariffs. My heart goes out to my small business friends who it is. We all have enough to think about than to think about those things. And I have many friends in this industry, and I know that some of them have been pulling their hair out this week. So I somewhat feel guilty that it's not affecting us yet. But one of the reasons I chose to US milled as well as printed was the eco-friendly portion of that, from working in the fashion industry and seeing the effects of that environmentally. So right now I'm really happy that I did that, but make sure that you get your fabric sample pack so that when pre-order happens, you can feel and touch and know exactly what you want for your projects. And then our pre-orders, they always last usually about 4 weeks. I think it's like 3.5 weeks this time. And then our turnaround time is 7 weeks. This time we're usually pretty fast, but I want everyone to remember that this pre-order will be coming in summer for us. And summer is when I start dyeing fabric. So we will get your pre-orders out to you as fast as we possibly can. But 7 weeks is our turnaround time from the date of close of our pre-order. I will be releasing my muumuu dress, our summer muumuu dress pattern, on May 1st. So if you did not purchase a workshop kit for the summer muumuu dress, you will be able to purchase the pattern on May 1st. And join us for that workshop. I'll just have references of fabrics that you can purchase elsewhere, or you might already have in your stash. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to get back in the saddle here of getting on YouTube and sewing now. So I'll see you next Sunday, 10:30 Eastern time for some sewing time. Have a good one.